All right, so very excited to present this presentation today. I've been sitting here thinking and thinking about how can we let all of you understand the importance of energy. And a lot of you liked the fire hose analogy from last time and how the fire hose shoots out like 100 million miles per hour. And if there's a kink in the hose, then the water is not shooting out as fast as it should. Now, I was thinking and pondering about what else in life and day-to-day um, actions and life and nature resembles the brain, the spinal cord, the electricity, and the energy, like you see on the slide, like our spinal cord. Sometimes it's hard to understand the spine because it's inside of all of our bodies. And it's definitely hard to understand the electrical impulses that are sent between the nerves and the brain and the spinal cord and all the vital organs and tissues of the body because you can't see it and it's intrinsic. So it's hard to conceptualize and visualize. And that's why most spinal conditions are so hard to understand and they're so complex and they're very difficult for the general public just to come to terms with, like a disc protrusion or something like that. It's hard to come to terms with a spinal injury. So what I'm going to try to do is make all of these connections based on day-to-day objects and things so that we can start to understand more about how our body works and we can start to see our body in our lives, in our day-to-day actions. So let's get started. So this is a quick intro about what we're looking at. Look at how complex just one section of the spine is. So this is one bone and one bone on top of another, basically. And what's in between the bones? Nerves, discs, joint capsules. We have blood vessels. Okay, we have a bunch of nerves, and then we have the beautiful, amazing spinal cord, which lies right through inside the spine, as you can see here. So the spine is inside, the spinal cord is inside of the spine, and it goes all the way through. Like you can see on my model here. The spinal cord runs through every single vertebra, stops around L1 or L2, and then branches into like a major highway connection network. Um, so this is what we're looking at, just on like a cartoon animated point of view. Okay, now let's get into some of the day-to-day objects that show us really what our spinal cord looks and acts like. So everybody knows what this here is. This is a light switch, and the brain sends light, electrical energy to our body. So the electrical energy is sent from the brain to the spinal cord, and it's like you turn the light switch on. Is the light coming through? When you turn the light switch on, you expect the light to come through, as you can see with the light bulb here. But when you turn the light switch on and the light is dim or flickering, you can imagine there must be something going on along the way between the light switch to the light. Why is it flickering? Why is it dim? Why is it not giving me the light that I need? That could be happening in our body. As you turn the light switch on, which is the brain, the brain sends all of this light energy throughout the rest of the room, like a light bulb, throughout the rest of the room, and the room lights up. And it bounces energy off the wall, and it bounces energy off the objects in the room. And this is just like our brain. The brain sends the energy to the room, which is the spinal cord, and the spinal cord distributes all of this energy throughout the rest of the body. How much energy is bouncing around in your body? How much energy is bouncing off the wall, bouncing off your muscles, bouncing off your arms, your legs, your organs, your liver, your heart, your tissues? How much energy is bouncing off? Are we getting a big bright energy? Are we getting unlimited potential of energy? Or are we getting that dim, flickering light? Which one is it? So that's a light bulb analogy that I found and I came up with. I'm very proud about it. To kind of describe the light switch to light bulb to energy relationship in the body, and how our brain is like a light bulb that's always sending energy to our body. Which one is you're going to be? Is your body bright, flickering, or dim? Bright, flickering, or dim? Which one is it? All right, moving on. So, a couple questions here before we get started with this picture. We have elastic energy. Okay, what is elastic energy? Think of a rubber band. When you have a rubber band, two questions. When you stretch the rubber band, does it get tighter or looser? Second question. When you stretch the rubber band, does it get thicker or thinner? When you stretch the rubber band, it gets tighter and thinner. Now, if you replace that rubber band with a nerve, this is a classic nerve picture that we all learned in second or third grade. The dendrites are here, nucleus, and it sends and receives energy and information through the synapses and the myelin sheaths that are called the axons, and they communicate with other nerves and the brain and the central nervous system through the axon terminals. If you replace that rubber band with a nerve, is that nerve, when it's stretched out, when our head is forward, when our back is hunched, when we're stretching out our spinal cord, when we're twisted or bent or curved around in the wrong direction, are those nerves going to be looser or tighter, thicker or thinner? Just like a rubber band, the nerves stretch based on our posture, based on our trauma, based on what we're doing to those nerves, what we're doing to the spinal cord. So, if there's anything going on in the way, blocking energy from the spinal cord to the nerves, it's going to make the nerves thinner and tighter. This doesn't allow the energy to flow through. It's like a blockage. It's like a kink. It's like a rubber band that when you stretch it out, the potential for elasticity, like it says in the title, elastic energy, diminishes, decreases. Let's move on. Okay, what do you see here? We have our flower head, and we have our flower head overlaid with the brain. Okay, our flower head and our flower is responsible for cultivating life and light energy from the sun and sending it through the stem into the branches, leaves, nerves, we'll talk about that in a second, and the roots. And the roots into the soil. Now we have a full blooming, blossoming, beautiful, communicating system. Flower, energy, light, branches, leaves, roots, soil. Boom. Now we overlay that with a brain. Brain is the light source. We are amazing beings that create our own energy. So we have the light source in our brain already. We don't have to collect it from the sun, even though collecting some energy from the sun is a great thing. Vitamin D is amazing. But collecting energy from ourselves. Boom. Brain, spinal cord. Nerves. Nerves are similar to the branches. Nerves are similar to the leaves. Cervical nerves. Arms, fingers, shoulders, face muscles, sensation, eyes, ears, nose, throat, cervical nerves. Down the brain stem. It's literally called a brain stem, just like a flower is called a stem. The brain stem. Down from the brain stem. Okay, now down to the thoracic nerves. Heart, lungs, stomach, esophagus. Going down into the thoracic nerves, intestines, liver, pancreas, spleen. These are the branches of the flower, the branches and the leaves of the stem, of the brain stem, of the brain, right? The thoracic nerves, coming and pushing that energy from the brain into those organs, those tissues, those muscles. Now, lumbar nerves, same. Remember, The light is inside of us. We don't have to cultivate light from the sun. We create our own light. We create our own life. Now the life works its way down into the lumbar nerves, reproductive organs, excretory organs, okay, bladder, bowel, nerves to our legs, our feet, our toes, our muscles. The biggest muscles in our body are in our lower extremity. Lumbar nerves are responsible for innervating all of those. Let's work our way down more of the stem, the sacral nerves. This is the parasympathetic nervous system, coccygeal. Okay, into the roots, into everything goes down. Now, if you cut the flower at a certain level, will that flower survive? Yes. But will it be pushing energy up and down as it was before? If you cut the flower, it will die soon, sooner rather than later. We all know that. If you cut a nerve, it's the same thing. It will die sooner rather than later. Same thing here in our body, same thing in our spine. As the flower cultivates the light energy, sends it through, our body is our energy, our brain is our energy source, and it sends it through, and anything that's cut along the way will die off, just as the flower will die off once it is separated from the roots, once it is separated from the stem. And God forbid you take the flower bud, the head of the flower off, it's done. It's done. No more photosynthesis. Okay. So, last but not least, we have our overall energy. Our brain and spinal cord are like the waterfall of life in our body. These water droplets are nothing by themselves. They must fall in millions to create the waterfall effect so that we can see the power and the amplitude and the beauty of the waterfall itself. If this waterfall was falling drop by drop by drop, we wouldn't get this effect. And this is what is happening inside of our spinal cord every day, from our brain to our spinal cord, as a rush, a constant rush of energy all the time. Just like a waterfall, it's nonstop. If you cut off the water supply, it's gone. Now it's just going to be a bunch of rocks, which is still beautiful, but you don't get that sound, that energy, that symphony, that harmony. So this is what I wanted to kind of show today. Some life and real day-to-day things that can relate and that at the end of the day are beautiful pieces of nature that show us how our body is working from the inside out, because we can't see our spine and nervous system all the time. So I know it's a little bit hard to conceptualize, but I hope this was clear, and I hope we can continue sharing and talking and having good conversations about the images that I put together. So perfect. Thank you.